Hi, today I'm here with Sofia representing the Republican Party and Luis representing the Democratic Party, and the topic they're going to discuss today is if America should accept immigrants.
Generally speaking, for people from other countries should obtain a visa to get into the United States, the procedure to get this visa is that the immigrant wants to stay in the country and wants to get a job. And these visas are now controlled by the state. So there's already a very organized system to control the quantity of immigrants that come to the United States. And talking about the economy, according to the newspaper Newsweek, immigrants have driven more than 2/3 of the economy since 2011 and founded 30% of the new firms. And many people talk about how immigrants they take Americans' job, but most of the immigrants take jobs that the American doesn't want. And according to Applebaum, a writer from the New York Times, and many economists, immigration increases the economic growth, improving the lives of Americans and the new immigrants. And so the people from the United States have more to win than to lose if they accept immigrants. And skilled immigrants are very, very common, and they participate a lot in the United States economy. Because, for example, you can import computers from another country, or you can hire people that know how to build computers from another country. And they can work here, and they will be taxed here, so by that making more money for the United States. And according to the New York Times, contrary to most beliefs, the immigrants are not more likely than committing crimes than most unemployed population. They only make 5% of the nation's prison inmates, and they are only 7% of the population. And most of these prison inmates are in the country without documentation, meaning that they are not legal immigrants, but illegal, meaning that they didn't get a visa, so they are illegal.
Hi, my name is Sofia Helena and I'm representing the Republican Party regarding the acceptance of immigrants in our country. The Democratic Party talked about criminality, and I found some interesting data showing that indeed criminality increased with the entrance of immigrants in other nations. There are two other countries I will use as example, being then Germany and Brazil. For example, according to a famous website in Brazil, called Folha de Boa Vista, criminality rates increased almost 2% in the past year when Venezuelan immigrants were accepted into the country. Also, Germany is an important place to consider. As stated by a study made by the University of Applied Science of Zurich, violent crimes related to immigrants increased from 4.3% to 13%. In addition, infos released by the Interior Ministry show that about 1,074 immigrants from outside the European Union were linked to crimes on the past years, an increase of 52% over 2015. There are other things that are important to consider when debating about this topic. For example, there is the possibility of causing overpopulation issues. Since the immigrants seek for a better quality of life, their most popular destinations are wealthy and developed countries. That means that there may be an overpopulation issue on these places, while it could be created another population issue in the countries the immigrants are coming from, the developing world. For example, in Roraima, a state from north of Brazil, the government created specific shelters and schools to house the Venezuelan immigrants. However, these places are full. There are more people there than they're able to shelter. In all, 248 Venezuelan Indians share the space that can hold up to 200 people. Thus, it is a great example of overpopulation problems. With that in mind, it is important to note that the biggest consequences of an imbalanced population level are the resource access issues, because there might be less resources than need to survive, and the lack of growth opportunities to the developing nations, since its labor force and talents are moving to countries that may not need them. In addition, besides other population level issues, there is the fear that those immigrants could spread new diseases in the country they choose to live. This is causing agents transfer across borders with immigrants, that is a fact, having negative impacts on the native people. There are two extremely fitting examples of how these people can transmit diseases that were previously not a problem to the country, or they were eradicated and now became an issue again. First, there's Germany. A study released by the Robert Koch Institute confirms that there has been an increase of diseases since 2015 when Germany hosted a great amount of immigrants. There was a case of a man, an immigrant, who had contact with several people, including little kids, that was later diagnosticated with tuberculosis. This means that those kids, their teachers, siblings, and even their parents could be infected as well. Besides that, the annual epidemiological report of infectious diseases presents data that shows more than 50 infectious diseases existing in Germany in 2016, providing the consequences of a huge influx of immigrants going to the country. The second example is regarding Roraima and the Venezuelan immigrants. With the Venezuelan invasion in the Brazilian state, the immigrants along with the refugees are viewed with great concern. This concern is based on the fact that some studies show that these people could be infected with some diseases that had already been eradicated from the country, such as smallpox. Therefore, immigrants could indeed bring some really bad problems to our nation or any other place they choose to migrate to.
You talked about how the immigrants, they come to the country and they become the population overdeveloped. That is a problem, a very common problem. But most of these immigrants that come to overpopulate, they come in a legal way, the way that the state cannot fiscalize it. The legal way and the legal immigrants, they come by the legal terms to work here, so they are fiscalized, and the state already has a lot of ways of controlling the immigrant population. And also about the unemployment, yes, there are some decreases on most of the basic levels of like operary construction workers or other jobs that don't require much speech. They can be taken by the immigrants, but they are not as much as you thought it can be. Because, as I said before, most of the jobs that the immigrants take are jobs that the American doesn't want. Like most of the Mexicans in the United States, they come to be landscaper workers. They are not taking any jobs of the United States market or any firms. They are working by their own will, and they are not taking anybody's space of work.
Well, I think the two parts had shown good arguments and great rebuttals, but today the Democrat Party won.